Hello and welcome back to My Own Worst Enemy. We are going to start something I'm going to call Turn 9 Control Z. Turn 9 Control Z, what is that, you ask? Well, in Turn 9, which we think we've ended, but I made a major mistake in Turn 9, and it came in the Rebel Campaigns phase. And what happened there was... And before I get into this too much, I'll say that, up until now, all the mistakes I've made, I've just been letting go, mostly because they've been really small mistakes, and they've actually, I think, helped the rebels more than me, more than anything else. So I just kind of let them go. But this one, this was a major campaign in New England, and these major campaigns, you've heard me say throughout the entire game, that it's a painful phase for me to go through because a lot of bad things can happen. And we had a major campaign, and when I went to place the rebels, I as I'm reading along, I went back and watched this, and you can too. I said, well, we take the rebel reinforcements, the COS unit and the Continental unit will both get placed in the lowest rebel occupied county. And as I said that, I placed them into the British occupied county, which was totally wrong. They should have gone into Connecticut coast and then proceeded on through the steps of a major campaign. And what I did was put them into Massachusetts shore, and they there was a battle there, and I ended it because when you have a major campaign, if there's a loss on the rebel side, which they did lose the battle, then you stop the campaign. But none of that was right. So it was completely wrong, and it's too big of an error to let stand. It's just too much. I just can't let that stand. It's just too much out of control. And you can see that I'm going to have to go back in time and redo it. And speaking of time, you can see, if I zoom out here a little bit, you can already see the fractures in the space-time continuum. I mean, there's an aircraft carrier now in Chesapeake Bay. It looks like it's the Lexington. There's a Roman senator in the American leadership box now. Grant is up here. Where'd he go? I saw Grant up here in New York. The Army of Northern Virginia is now in Virginia. Look at, there's a Japanese sniper in Florida. There's the Red Baron. So, looks like the Enterprise is coming out on turn 10. And perhaps the most horrific thing of all, there's a meeple in Quebec. I can't let this stand. I'm gonna have to go back. Gonna have to go back and fix this. It's I know it's forbidden, but I'm gonna have to use the Custodian of Eternity and go back in time and try to correct this. So I'm going to do that now. Custodian, are you there?
I'm here. What is it this time? Did you forget to check for unit spotting before firing again?
Huh?
Never mind. It actually hasn't happened yet.
Look, I need to go back to the start of the Rebel Campaigns phase of Turn 9 and Don't Tread on Me.
Oh yeah, the big major campaign screw-up. There's actually a meatpool in Quebec right now.
Yeah. Can you just send me back now?
Many such journeys are possible. Let me be your guide.
Would you just do it already?
Okay, jeez.
Okay, it looks like we made it back. We should be back now to the conduct rebel campaigns phase, and look, we are. It's phase 11, so we can go back now. And I do want to thank Wes Ernie for pointing out pointing out this mistake. It did feel kind of strange to me as I went through it. I kind of felt like I was doing something wrong, and I was. So kudos to Wes for pointing this out, so we can go back and fix it. And thanks to everybody else for sitting through this introduction to this video. Okay, so this is, you'll see when we start this why I wanted to redo this as we go through this again. So let's go ahead and start. We did roll a major campaign in New England, so that's up here, and we're at the start of this again thanks to the Custodian of Eternity. So we can let's go ahead and place our reinforcements. So. Remember that it'll be one COS unit, and it will be 1, if I can grab it, it will be 1 continental. And we will pull the rule book out again because we want to get this right. Because I don't want to have to go back in time again. And you don't want to see me do it again either, I'm sure. Okay, so when we place the reinforcements, and this is where I messed up last time, they go into the lowest numbered rebel occupied county. So I said that was here, but it, it wasn't. They're actually going to go into Connecticut coast. So what will happen is these 2 reinforcements will go into Connecticut coast. And there's more reading here. It says, then move any rebel forces in higher number counties in that state to that county. So what that means is all of these other rebel forces in the higher numbered counties, which in this case is all of them, will come down into Connecticut coast. So this continental would come back. This continental is going to come down. And then all these cause units. Oops. Well, let's see if we can grab them all. There we go. So all those cause units are going to go into... So you can see this monster stack forming in Connecticut coast now. And you're probably starting to see why I went back and redid this, because it's a lot different than what actually had happened. Okay, so that's the placement of the reinforcements in that county. And so now we go back to proceed with the major campaign. So what happens here is, so we've placed them, and now they're going to, first thing they would do is attack any, British players in Connecticut coast. There's not any. So there's the attack priority that we have to follow. That's the same one we've always been following. So let's go back to that and make sure we get it right. Here, let's see if I can find it. My rule book here. All right. Well, actually, I'm looking in the wrong section. I should be looking in the attack order in the major campaign. So the way this works is they're going to they would attack any, well, like I said, anybody in the county. There's not. So then they would go to the left. They can't do that because there's nothing left. So then they go right. So closest British forces to the right. So that means they're going to march this way into Rhode Island first, because remember they're marching through the state. So, and then they would come into Massachusetts shore. So they're going to come in. Oops, there's got some people trying to go to Vermont. We don't want that. So this huge, huge stack is going to hit Massachusetts shore. So all these units march right into Massachusetts shore, and that is where our first battle will be fought. And I think you're starting to see the appreciation of just how painful this can be and why I'm redoing this. So let's get our battle marker out, and let's get our units on the battlefield. So let's get the Continentals out first. And there, I think we're 5 of those. Yep. So there's 5 Continental armies, and I think there's 6 cause units now with that reinforcement. So let's pull all of them out. Oh boy. So there's 6 of those, and then we have, I believe, 2 brave loyalist units that showed up, and a British lobster foot soldier. So battles in Massachusetts shore. It's farmland, and there are no adjustments for militia here, I believe. So there's not a stronghold. Vermont would only apply if the battle were in New York. No Congress, nothing. So it looks like it's going to be a straight roll on the call for militia. Now, New England is very low. It's it's 1. So let's see what we get. Let's clear all this now. And I got to delete these because it's not clearing. So let's do it manually. So let's see what we get for our militia call. 3, which is going to be, we get none. They will get 3. Like they need more help, right? Okay, so let's see what they get. farmlands. So there's total strength points: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 plus 6. That's 16 plus 3 is 19. So 19, and we have, bet we don't have 19. I wish we did. We have 5 plus 3 is 8. So it is 19 divided by 8. Now, so that's 237%. Remember, we round down. That's going to put us on the 200% column. And I honestly thought it'd be higher than that, but it's not. That's bad enough as it is. So before we roll, this is a major campaign. So we have a chance here of stopping basically what could be a very bad thing, a very bad turn for us. So the way this works is this stack will keep marching through New England. If they're successful here, they're going to go towards the target state. But for now, they're on the march, and their march will continue until they take any losses through an exchange or attacker eliminated, or if they're forced to retreat. So attacker retreats or attacker retreats with pursuit. So if any of if those things happen, then we'll stop in Massachusetts shore. If not, they're going to keep marching. So what that means is this exchange would certainly, if he rolled a 3, that would certainly be good. Counterattack, that might end up in our favor too, because of a counterattack, remember, that means we go down to the 100% column, and we would be the attackers. So really we're hoping for a roll of 3 here. That would be awesome. So let's see what they get. Here we go. They're attacking. So we roll that blue die again. And we roll a 2. It's a counterattack. So that means the battle will be refought on the 100% column. So here we would be looking for, now we're looking for 1 through 4 would be good here, because that would stop this major campaign in its tracks. So it's just the reverse here. We are still in farmland, so we're attacking with 8 strength points. They're defending with 19, and it looks like that's going to be on the less than 50% for us. And no, it's not, because see, I I did this last time too. When you counterattack, it's on the 100% column. We don't do this again. So with the 100% column though, it's still any of those first, so any of the first 4 is going to stop them in Massachusetts shore, stop them from marching any further. We roll a 5 or a 6, that's not going to be good. So let's see what we get now. So we're counterattacking, and we roll a 3. So that's an AR. That's attacker retreats. That's good news for us. That's what we wanted to see. Attacker retreats. That means that this is well, wait a minute, where are we at here? We were attacking, so we're retreating. Did I say that wrong? Is this bad news for us? What am I doing? This is how we got into this mess the first time, right? So it would be good for us if they were attacking, but they're not. We're attacking, so and we rolled a 3, so it's attacker retreats. It's bad for us. So this is bad. So I'm going to go to the retreat priority for us, and that we go to, where are we at? Up here in Massachusetts shore. So if the British player units are retreating and the French fleet is present, then we apply a special rule. Otherwise, retreat to a county containing only friendly units. There are none in New England that are friendly to us. There are none with units of both sides. I believe, and the only way we can retreat to C, let's see, if we're in a loyalist stronghold, we are not, so we cannot retreat to C, so it looks like we're eliminated. And the battle is over. Man, and we got to counterattack and everything. But we did not stop them. So as the attackers, we were retreating, eliminated, so these guys will come to the prisoner of war box. Okay, and so the rebels won the battle, so we're going to put the battle marker back in the battle box, and all these units come back to Massachusetts shore for the moment. And you'll see what I mean by for the moment. Okay, and then the Continentals. We'll stack the stack, and that'll go back up to Massachusetts shore. Now they won the battle, so New England's loyalty will decrease to 0 because they won the battle. And we'll clear all this. Okay. So they won the battle. This was, let's go back to Major Campaign. So now, remember I said that they continue marching until they take a loss, or they retreat, but they don't. So it says, if the rebels rid the state of all British player units by a defender eliminated or defender retreats, well, in this case we had the counterattack, and I'm looking at the rules again here. Yeah, so a counterattack, and we lost. So the campaign does not end. Instead, it may expand even further into a planned operation. So this is turning into a planned operation now, which is not good. And this is why I went back in time to show you guys this, because it can be huge when a major campaign turns out like this. So with a planned operation, if a major campaign sweeps the state free of British presence, or there are no British players there to start with, place all of the state's rebels in the critical county. So now we're going to take this stack. The critical county in New England is Rhode Island, so we're going to move it to Rhode Island. And we do that. And it says if the campaign state is not the target state, then the rebels will conduct a planned operation if they possess more than 2 rebels. Well, they certainly possessed more than 2 rebels, and this is not the target state. The target state, if you'll remember, is New York. So it says if they will conduct a planned operation if they possess more than 2. 2 forces will stay behind to reinforce the current state that they're in, but the rest of the forces will go to the target state. And well, let's stop there. We don't get too far ahead. So basically what this means is, let's see. I get to two rebel players are going to stay behind in the critical county. So I'm looking to see if there's any, yeah, here we go. So it says when you leave the 2 rebel units behind, leave 2 of them. Okay, yeah, leave 2 of them. Randomly pick Continentals if possible. Otherwise, a cause unit. 2 randomly pick Continentals. So if I were to leave 2, that means all of these cause units. Oops. That means all these cause units are going to go on this planned operation, and we're going to leave behind 2 randomly selected Continental units in New England. So I'm going to roll 2 of these D6s. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll roll until we get the 1 through 5. Or, so 1, 2. So he's going to stay behind. And now it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll roll again. 4. And this guy will stay behind. So these will stay behind to defend New England. These 3 Continentals will now go ahead with the planned operation with the cause units. So now let's read it a little further. Okay. So what they're going to do is they're going to reinforce rebels in the target state. And to do the reinforcement, we will reinforce using the same rules, 1102, to see where they will go into the target state in New York. So it's just basically rebel reinforcements again in New York. And so you'll remember that you go to the lowest rebel occupied county. So in the case of New York, that's Hudson Highlands, because that's where there's the rebel unit. So we'll take this stack of Continentals. We'll move the Continentals first, if I can grab them all. There we go. So they're going to come into Hudson Highlands on this planned operation, and all these cause units are coming with them. Oops. So they will come into Hudson Highlands, but we're not done yet. No. So let's go back to the planned operation, and then it says, if the French army is in a state or in Boston, then they immediately get placed into the stack, regardless of its current location. So the French army, if you remember, was down here in Virginia, so they're going to come up to Hudson Highlands. Why not? And then now we place George Washington in the American leadership box. If there is one, there is one. So Georgie's going to come up here with Congress, because remember, they're still in session in New York, in the target state, and we'll follow the same attack protocol and stop conditions as is in the major campaign that we just went through. So let's do that. So we will we now go back to, they will attack in order of priority. And so if you remember, for the rebels, they will first march to the left, or the lower counties in this case. So this entire rebel stack will now march into river forts. So now you see why I had to redo this. It was too important, too game changing to let that error stand. So we're going to have a battle in river forts. Our poor little lobster unit will come out, and then we're going to take this entire monstrosity and bring it out. So let's see what we got here. We have the French. Where was this at? This is in a fort. So the French are at 8. Of course, they're at their maximum. And so that's the Continental armies, and then all the cause units get stretched out here. There we go. It's like on those little clown cars. They just kept coming out. All right. This is in a stronghold. So we'll get a +1 to the militia roll, but... Oh, no, wait. What am I saying? We're not in a stronghold. We're one up above. I wish we were in a stronghold. It wouldn't matter anyway. We don't get any modifiers. They get modifiers, though. So Washington is there. And Washington, let's see. We have two things there, actually. Let's see. Where's my little notes? We have Washington, who does nothing, but he doesn't. Well, I guess not. So we have Congress there that will cause a column shift, and Washington will prevent the loyalty change. So just got to remember the column shift for Congress being there. So let's see. Actually, we also have Vermont being pro-British. I always forget about that. So that will be a loyalty modification. So we have Vermont pro-British. It will cause a +1 modification to the militia roll for New York. Not that I think it's going to matter a whole lot. What is New York's current loyalty? It's at a 6. So okay, so they're at a 6. And again, Washington and Congress will not affect the militia roll. The Indian unit is actually, I think he has to be in the battle. We've looked at this 100 times before. I think he's got to be in the battle, though, to add anything to the or subtract from the militia roll. And Yeah, so yeah, in the battle they would subtract one, but they're not. So it's still looking. Indians mine up. Counties the British flag. That's stronghold +1. So yeah, and yeah, so we just get the +1 for Vermont. So move this out of the way. We'll clear this off, and we are on 6. Let's roll. We roll a 4. That is going to be 1 for us and 2 more for them. Okay, so let's see what we got. We are in the fort, so it's the third number on the counter for forts for the strength. So we have 8, 10, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. We have 20. They have 25 strength points, and we are defending with 4 + 1 is 5. So 25 divided by 5 is 5. So that's 500%. That puts us on the 400% column. They're attacking, so we'll roll that blue die, and so the same stop conditions apply here. So if we roll a 1, this would stop the planned operation through New York. Let's pray for a 1. Let's see what we get. And we roll a 2. So defender retreats with a possibility of pursuit. So, okay, remember we go back to our retreat priorities again. So let's get those up so we don't do this wrong. If the British player units are retreating and the French fleet is present, it's not. I don't think we had to move the French fleet when we did the. Go back and check real quick. I don't think it says to move the French fleet, just the French army. Yeah, there's no mention of the French fleet. So, we don't have to worry about applying the special rules. So otherwise, retreat to a county containing only friendly units. Well, we can't do this because we have this Indian unit in the frontier. So we can retreat that way. And let's see. We're going to do that. So we're going to move this unit into the frontier. And defender retreats with the possibility of pursuit. Not going to matter here because the stack's moving there anyway. So as part of the planned operation, they're gonna move in there anyway. So it's not really gonna matter. But I'm gonna look at it just to cover all my bases. So when you have a retreat, you look at it. Roll 8-15 for pursuit. So may allow the winning side forces to pursue the retreating units to refuge county, where another battle will be immediately fought. So the rules for doing that is, where is it? Well, like I said, it's not going to matter. They're going to retreat. They're coming in there anyway with everybody they've got. So, okay. So what that means is, let's see. It's going to be a new battle, so we're going to clear all this out. That's going to stay there. This gets cleared. This will come back off. So what's happening basically is they're going to now come into the frontier. I'm hemming and hawing because I got two things I've got to watch for here, and one was I got to be careful about stopping the campaign. I know that in this case, it's the pursuit that's throwing me off for a loop. Just want to make sure. Like I said, I don't think it's going to matter, but let's make sure. We didn't travel back in time for nothing. So rebel pursuit. Rebels will pursue if the British refuge county has a rebel unit. They will not pursue if the refuge county has no rebel units. So, yeah, it's like I'm saying. So they're not, as part of this battle result, they're not going to pursue. So, we're going to end the battle we bring the battle marker back out and you call the battle over. But then, because this was a planned operation, that stack will move into the frontier. So I'm just going to leave everything there because they're not leaving anybody behind. So basically what happens is the battle moves to the frontier now, and just means now that instead of just being a lone British unit, we have an Indian unit with us who's probably going, what are you doing? So we re-roll for our militia call, but no, we don't, because remember we've got a +1 for, well, we do, but modifiers aren't going to matter. We have a +1 for, oh no, wait a minute, so I won't get too far ahead. This is, it's the defender retreats pursuit thing throwing me off. So it was a battle, and I'm thinking that they did win the battle, so they would get a loyalty decrease for New York for that. Well, now wait a minute. See, you know what else I didn't do? So that, I don't think it's going to matter. But the battle was, we were in river forts, and we were on the 400% column, and we rolled a 2. And Congress was there, right? So I think Congress, they do have an effect on the battle, and I forgot to take that into account. So if Congress is in a state, then basically it is a column shift. So Congress will, I don't think it can shift any more than what it was though. It would shift the column to the right, so it wouldn't matter. Okay. Double checking, so everything's fine. Washington's there. Yeah, that would just stop us from. Okay, so they did get their loyalty drop, and now we're going to refight this battle. So this is a new battle. The militia roll, we get the +1 for Vermont, -1 for that Indian unit. So there's no modifier on this militia call. It's a 1. We get nothing. They get 3. And we fight yet again. So they are attacking again. So it's 8, 10, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. It's 26. And this time we are, oh, wait a minute. What am I doing? What am I doing? Different county. This is, well, I'm trying my best to screw this up. I really, really am. So it's New York. We have an Indian unit, and we have Vermont. So that's +1, -1. But we're also in a stronghold, so that would have been another +1. So really, the militia roll would have been, would have added a +1 to this. And so I rolled a, really, it would have been 1 + 1 is 2. So really, they would have been 2 for them. So they're at strength. Oops, they're at strength 25, not 26. Well, no, wait a minute. Let's not even do that yet. Let's leave that at 2 because the militia roll did go through. It was a 1, but it was +1 because of the modifications. We had +1 modification for being a stronghold. So we're going to leave that at 2, but we're going to have to add up these strength points again because we are in the wilderness now. So it's not that third number, it's the first number. So their strength is 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. Well, it's going to be 26 anyway. Okay. Well, we're making doubly sure, so that's okay. So they're at 26, and we are at 3 + 3 is 6, and that's all we get. They're attacking again, so it is 26 divided by 6 is the 400 column again. So they are going to roll on the 400 column, and we basically need to get a 1 to stop the planned operation from carrying itself on. So let's see what we get. Oh, I thought we were going to get a 1, but we got a 5. So a 5 is bad. Defender eliminated. So, these 2 units go to the prisoner of war box. Does the Indian unit go to the prisoner of war box, or I think he goes back to the available Indian unit if he's eliminated. Let's look at that real quick. Eliminated units. Let's see. Where is that at? Where does it say? Well, let's see. Maybe my notes have it. I think they go back to the, here it is, yeah. The Indians go back to the Indian available box. So he's going to come out and go back up here. So but these guys do go to the prisoner of war box. And the British are prisoners now, and the battle is over in New York. Another battle, I should say. So that's the second battle. And the loyalty here will decrease yet again because they won yet another battle. And now this battle marker comes out. So they won in the frontier. So remember, this is a planned operation. And they're not done because they're succeeding at wiping us out. So now what they do is they pivot and turn around. And everybody that's still in the frontier county basically turns around and starts marching to the other direction. So what they're going to do now is they're going to go to the right to the closest British unit. So that's going to bring them to the Hudson Valley. So we're going to have a battle in the Hudson Valley now. So you can see why this was so important to go back and redo it. So this British unit will come in. This is the battle box. Yeah, they're still here. And we have another battle. So let's clear this. And we get a +1 to the militia roll for Vermont. We get a +1 for this being a stronghold. One other thing. I'm backing up one more time. Because we had this foot soldier in here. This was a stronghold. So actually when he was eliminated, I believe he should have been eligible to go to C. So let's double check that. I'm getting my notes here, and it says... well, I just looked at it because we had... Yeah. Well, my notes aren't going to say that. We're going to have to go back to the British retreat to the sea rule. British units which lose a battle in any loyalist stronghold may choose to retreat to the sea, unless the French fleet is there, of course. Place the British unit directly into the sea zone connected to the state. So, yeah, so this guy, since this was a stronghold, doesn't matter if the privateer's there, but since this was a stronghold, instead of going to the prisoner war box, he does get to retreat to the sea. And same thing could happen here, so gotta remember that. So as I was saying, though, we do get +1 for a stronghold, +1 for Vermont, so that's gonna be a +2 to our militia call, which we absolutely need. New York is now at a 5. Yeah, so they're at a 5 now, and we will roll and add +2. So we roll a 2 + 2 is 4. That's on 5. So we get 1, they get 2. We're going to clear that. And we are now fighting in farmland. So it is that middle number. We're all over the place. So it's going to be 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So they're attacking at 24, and we're defending at 3, I know 2 plus 1 is 3, so it's 24 divided by 3, which gives us which gives us the 400% column again. And they are attacking yet again. So here we're looking for, it'd have to be an exchange. I don't think it matters at this point though, because it is the last county. They're going to stop anyway. So we roll. And it's a 5, so it is defender eliminated. So that means that this British unit can it can go into the C zone instead of the prisoner war box because it is a stronghold. So they'll come out to the C zone, and that will be that. Clear that. Reset this. They won, so they were in New York. You know what? I forgot the column shift again. Doesn't matter. I didn't forget the column shift because it would go to the right anyway. Okay, so all these little bits and pieces, there's a lot to keep in the back of your head when you're doing this, so keep that in mind. Make sure you check all these things. So they won. New York will go down yet another loyalty level to 4. The battle marker comes back, and all of these units will go into Hudson Valley. Not the battle marker. The last thing they need is more reinforcements. So all these cause units come back. Let's just stack them here and drag them back. They'll come into Hudson Valley, and then the Continentals and that French unit, they all come back to Hudson Valley. And the battle marker's back in the battle box. We've got guys treading water in the Long Island Sound. And that is that. So I'm going to flip back to now the planned operation, because now they have marched through New England, and now they have successfully marched through New York. So we last ended off where it says, this was a while back, if you remember, right after we placed George Washington in there, they launched a major campaign in the target state using the same protocol, and they were successful. So it says, if completely successful, boy, you were in trouble. Yeah, it actually says that. I'm not saying that. It's in the rule book. Place the remaining rebels in the critical county of the target state. So if you will remember, early in the rules, it calls out New York does not have a blue die critical county. It's by default the Hudson Valley County. I'm going to go back and verify. I know it is, but I'm not going to say I know it is. I've been wrong lots before, right? The critical county is Hudson Valley for New York. That is called out in, I'm going to get you the rule here. Critical counties. Where do we talk about critical counties? Critical county. Trying to find the critical county. I'm pretty sure that it's right where they're standing. But we just want to make darn sure. Where the heck is it? I thought it was in the very beginning where it called out. Where it called out all the unit information, but it's not. So it must be a bit later on where we talk about the critical county. So let's see. We will just have to go forward. And here we talk about strongholds. Well, I can tell you that it should be... Well, I can't, for whatever reason, I cannot seem to find it. And it's got to be right in front of me. All right, I don't see it. I'm pretty sure it's the Hudson Valley, though. So, if not, we'll correct it later. But so, going back to the where did it go? The planned operation phase. So if the target state has no British units, you sweep all the rebels there and pile the whole thing into the critical county. So yeah, so they're just going to sit there in Hudson Valley, which I'm 99.9% sure is the critical county for New York. So they're going to sit there, all of these units, and we'll kind of straighten them up a little bit. That stack is now in New York. Now, if you look, and that ends the that will end the rebel campaigns phase, by the way. And so you'll see now why I wanted to come back and redo this. It's completely changed states 1 and 2. It's a powerful thing that the rebels can do, and too important to gloss over. So there we are. This is where we stand at the end of the rebel campaigns phase. They swept both states of all British units. Ouch. So, okay, that's the conduct rebel campaigns phase. Let's go to the logistics phase. Trading with the enemy. Here's where we can raise loyalty. Don't think I want to do this because I do have some British. Let's see. I think this is this where I can land my. Is this where I can land my the guys dog paddling in the Long Island Sound, or is that coming up later? Let me double check that too. So 12.2 may just be a movement thing. We haven't had anybody swim yet. That's why I'm double checking this. All British players may now be moved to any county, any state. Oh no, this is well, it's coming up. This is in logistics phase. There's a units at sea. Well, it's not showing in here, but it's after naval transport. There's a thing called unit at sea, and we can move units back to land free of charge. So I don't have to worry about money there. So I do have £1 I can spend, and I think, and remember to spend for trading with the enemy, it's just I have to have a lobster unit in the county of a state. And the only 2 states I can do that in now are Virginia and Carolina. I'm gonna spend £1 and raise Carolina's loyalty to 5. I'm gonna do that. So yeah, so now we can go to. Now we go to naval transport. I'm not gonna transport anybody. I can't. And this also, and it's missing from this sequence of play cards. There's another thing missing from this card. I should probably correct at some point. But it's part of this. It's between the naval transport and the naval reset. So in between these two things, there's units at sea, and so it's like I said, British ground units cannot be landed free of charge in any rebel-free county in the state connected to its sea zone, or it may be moved elsewhere. Well, I was wrong. So you actually, I could land them elsewhere for that £1. So do I want to do that instead of raising Carolina's loyalty? So I could move these guys to another place. Otherwise, they're going to land in New York. At least one of them is. I can't afford to move them both. I'm just going to, well. Oh, this is kind of like the problem I had up in New England. It's kind of switched now. I kind of need to put somebody in here to prevent what just happened from happening again. So I do want one of those guys to go into New York. The question is, do I want both of them to go into New York? I mean, do I want to spend that £1 to move these guys? Or can I move them? The French fleet would block movement, but they're not out. The French fleet is not out. So it's basically I can move them like a naval transport. So I can move to any county in any state, as long as it does not contain a rebel unit. So I could pay that pound to move one of these guys to one of these other states. It's tempting to come down into Virginia or even Carolina. We still have this this annoying Kaj unit that's been down here for a while now. But I will probably regret it. I'm going to go ahead and leave the loyalties as is. I'm going to spend that. I'm just going to land these guys. And it's in an empty county of my choice. So I'm going to put them in the frontier. So let's put those guys there. And with the hope of keeping that stack in New York now. And so that will take us now down to the naval reset phase. So this is where we get to move all of our ships that are in harbor now get to come back out to sea. Reconvene Congress if they're in flight. They're not. They're still happy up there in New York. We come down to Liberty phase. No continental enlistments expiring. So we come to determine control. State control. Well, we know how that's going to work out. We do not control the target state, and we only control one other state. So that is going to cause the Liberty Bell to move up to 3. And so perform state loyalty modifications. So we come back up to New England. It is rebel held. New England will drop their loyalty if they can. They can't. It's at 0. New York, there is, well, we have British units there. So it's 0, but they do have Washington. Let's see. Let's see if Congress is part of this too. It is. It's -1 each for Congress and George Washington. So yikes. So it's -2 in New York for that. So New York took a pounding. They're from 4 to 2. Pennsylvania is British held. So it is +1 for that. But there are Hessian units there. So it's -1 total, so it's nothing there, no change. And then Virginia, it is contested, so no change there. Carolina, contested, no change there. Well, there is a change. There's a Hessian unit there, so we're going to lose a loyalty point in Carolina for that Hessian unit being there. 2 Hessian units, it looks like. Yep. So, ooh, okay, that doesn't look so good. And that's all the loyalty modifications for the states, all the checks for that. Quebec is still Quebec. It's not going to change. Check for victory or defeat. We are still a good ways from defeat, but with these last 2 turns, it looks looks like we're moving a little closer towards that, but we'll see. Still a lot of time left. And that brings us to the random events phase. And if you'll remember, we're rolling 3d6s now, because it's after turn 6, and we had the invasion of Quebec. So we roll 3d6 to see what our random event's going to be. And it's going to be 11, 12, 13. 13. Was it 13? Was it 13? Yep, 13. So what is 13? Well, see, frigates diverted. I don't like that. So let's go read exactly what to do. It is any 1 3-strength British naval unit is moved to in harbor. So we are going to be -1 of our frigates the next turn. So it's a strength 3. That's the good news. It was strength 3, right? Yes. So these are still at sea. And war in the Caribbean. What is that? 1512. Remove 1 white band unit permanently from the game. It is sent overseas to deal with Britain's growing list of enemies. One white band unit. I don't look at this. Do we have any left? That'd be the first question. Well, I see 2. I don't want to remove either one. I don't want to remove either one. Okay, so is it only 2? Do we have only 2 white band units left? We've got that one. I don't think there's any hiding under anywhere else, right? Am I missing anything? It's just those 2. I'm gonna take the one out of New York. And honestly, mostly because I think New York's becoming a lost cause like New England was. It's going to be the target state next turn, but honestly, I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything about that. So I'm going to take this white band unit, and he's going to come up here with his friends in the graveyard, basically. Okay, he's not in the graveyard. He's actually off doing something else for the British Empire. That hurts. That's painful. Okay. And then Continental's Mutiny, 15-3. I think we've had this before, but let's see what it says. Roll a die to determine a state. Roll again if we roll a 6. Okay. Or the state contains no continentals. So first things first, it's got to be, so we have continentals in New England, New York, and Virginia is the only states we have continentals in. So we're going to randomly pick a state here. So let's see. So what I'm going to say is New England is 1 or 2, New York will be 3, 4, and then Virginia will be 5, 6. So let's clear this and see which state is chosen randomly. State 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to be Virginia. So to show that Virginia was the randomly selected state for this event, let's put that marker. And it says, then roll 2 dice for each continental army in that state. Add +2 for each British player unit in the state. Add +5 if George Washington is in the state. Oh, that would be nice, but he's not. No, see, I think I got into this last time. I think that'd be bad if he was. Add +3 if Thomas Jefferson's there. He's not. If the modified roll is lower than the loyalty rating of the state, then the unit mutinies. Okay, so basically what's happening, and we're going to do this for, where did it go? We're going to do this for each continental in here. We're going to roll 2. Let's clear that. We're going to roll 2d6. And what are our modifications? So it's for each British player in the, where am I going? In the state. Oh, well, we have British players. So we have, looks like we have 3 British players in Virginia. Good thing I left that white band there now, right? So it's going to be +2 for each British player unit in that state. Actually, maybe, like I said, maybe this is a bad thing because it's modifying the rule. So it's going to be +6. Yikes. This is just like last time. And what is the loyalty of Virginia? It is 7. So on the 2d6 roll, they've got to get a 7 or less, right? Is that what it said? If the modified roll is lower than the loyalty rating, so yeah, then it will mutiny and it will be placed back in the rebel force pool. Raise the state's loyalty by +2 for each army that does that. Each continental army that mutinies will get +2 loyalty. If more than 3 continentals in the state successfully mutiny in a turn, the French Army Navy gets removed. Well, that can't happen here because there's only 3, right? There's only 3. Yeah, there's only 3 continental. There's only 3 continental armies there, so it can't be more than 3. So we are looking for a. Is this even possible again? So they've got to roll under a 7, but there's a +6, and that can't happen. So there's a +6 modification for having British units in that state. So there's going to be no effect here. So clear, it won't even roll because they get +6 right off the bat. Yeah, so all right, that's a non-event. That's what happened last time we got this one. Okay, so, and then finally the loyalty oath, 1514. Local British commanders demand that harmless fence-sitting neutrals openly swear loyalty to King George III. The effect is to drive thousands of otherwise uninvolved Americans into the arms of the rebel neighbors. British players must choose one state, player's choice, and reduce its loyalty by -5. The state must have a loyalty of at least 5 to begin with. If no such state is available, you must pick whichever state has the highest loyalty. So this hurts. We did have this one last time. Do any of our states have... Well, looks like we have 2 that are at higher than a 5. So we've got to take either Virginia or Pennsylvania and reduce their loyalty by 5. And if you remember last time I had this, I think it was Carolinas I reduced and regretted it. So in this case, we're going to look before we leap. So we know we have Virginia coming up as a target state eventually. I don't want to reduce their loyalty. Pennsylvania will not be a target state again. So I'm going to reduce Pennsylvania's loyalty by 5. That's going to take them down to 2. That hurts. It does hurt, but it hurts more than what Virginia would have hurt, I think. So, yeah, that's that. So that is our random events phase taken care of. And that will end turn 9. I think we have restored the time stream to some sort of normalcy here. So maybe it's because we're approaching the 4th of July and we're picking up vibrations from that. And so the British are starting to feel the effects of that coming up. And we're taking a pounding. It doesn't look good. Doesn't look good with what just happened with that major campaign. But that's exactly why I wanted to redo this. You really needed to see what happens with a major campaign, especially when it has a planned operation that's successful. It can really alter the game. So we lost New England, we lost New York temporarily. We do have some units back in there, but you did get to see that, and it's good that you did. All is not lost. Don't get me wrong. The Liberty Bell is at 3 at the end of turn 9, so that's good. That is good. And let's see if anything else sticks out here. Not much. We do have a stack of... This hurts. We did lose those units. But like I said, it looks bad, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm not giving up yet. We have plenty of fight left in us. So that will do it. That will end turn 9 for the second time. And look for turn 10 next week. Hopefully I'll have turn 10 for you. Unless somebody spots something here that is drastic enough for me to go back to the custodian of eternity and wake him up again. We don't like to do that. You saw how cranky he was when we woke him up this last time. So hopefully we won't have to do that. I hope I did everything right. If I didn't, once again, let me know in the comments. Thanks again for those of you who do that. It is helpful to me and helpful to new players trying to learn the game. And thanks again for watching. We will see you next time.